Hello folks, in this video we will make one real-time chat room using JavaScript. We will use one library called socket.io. So let's see a quick demo first and let's get right into it. This is the real-time chat room we will build in this video. As you can see, this is a browser tab, new chat app. Now I can add multiple users by adding multiple tabs. When we come to the first tab, we can see that 3 more users, blue, ash and red, joined the chat, and in the other tabs also I can see that. Now let me remove one of the users and I can see that red has left the chat. In the other tabs also I can see the same. Now in this tab, let me write one message. I choose you, Pikachu. And you can see my message, I choose you, Pikachu, on the right hand side, and in the other tabs also other few people can see my message. Like Gary has chosen Pikachu, I can see that, and in this tab also. Now in this tab, let me write something else. I choose you, Evie. And as expected, my message is coming over here, and in the other tabs also Ash has chosen Evie. This message is being reflected. So now this is an irony, but let's build this application over here. So I have opened VS Code inside an empty folder named Realtime Chat App. So first of all, I will open the terminal. So you can click on terminal at the top and click on new terminal, or also use the shortcut. I will use the shortcut. So first of all, I have to write one command. I will write npm init. Let's wait for some time to execute. Now it will ask me some questions. The package name will be Realtime Chat App. Let's ignore the version description. Entry point will be server.js. Author, I will put my name. You can put yours. And yeah, that's it. So I will get one package.json file, and inside we have all the description we have just put. So first of all, we have to install few dependencies. So I will install npm I socket.io. You can use I or install, anything is fine. So while it is installing, let's start working on the front end. So I will add one index.html file and one style.css file. So it has installed the socket.io. Now I will also install node.mon as a dev dependency. So I will write npm I -d node.mon. Dev dependency means that I am only installing it for testing in the development environment. This is not good for production. Okay, anyway, we will see how node.mon works later. So first of all, in the index.html file, I will add the boilerplate, and here I will change the document to Realtime Chat App, or let's name it something else. Let's name it Neo Chat App. And here I will link the style.css file. And now inside the body section, first of all I'll give one heading. Let's name it as Neo Chat App. Now also let's open this in the live server. It looks good. Now I will create one div with the ID of message container. So here we will have message left and message right. So when we are sending our message to someone else, our message should be displayed on the right side. So that will be the message left. And when we are receiving the message from someone else, their message should be displayed on the left side. So that will be the message right. So first of all, I'll create one div with two classes, message and left. And let's give one text over here. Let's say I choose you, Bulbasaur. And now similarly, let's create the message right. And let's give the text, I choose you, Evie, because Evie is the best starter. So now I will create one send container. I will create one form and I'll give the ID a send container. Send container. Now inside I will have an input where I will input my text message, and I will say make one button called send. So input type will be text. Let's give one placeholder. Enter your message here, and let's also give an ID, and let's make the ID as message input. And now let's also create the button. The button ID will be, let's give it send button, and let's give the type as submit, and let's name it as send. So yeah, it looks good as HTML. So now let's add some styles to make it look more like a chat app. So first of all, in the body section, I would like to change the font family. So what should I give? Let's give this font. This is good. Now I will use display flex. It looks odd, so I will give flex direction as column. Now lastly, to align horizontally, I will use align item center. So now I will add some styles to the message container. So this is a place where we will keep all our messages. So first let's give one background color of, let's say, light green, and let's also give one width as 400 pixels and height also as 400 pixels. So yeah, it looks good as the message container. Let's also give one border 2 pixel solid black. Now we will align our messages later. So first of all, let's add few more things. Display of flex and flex direction column once again. And now we will add one more thing, and that is overflow y will be auto. So what this overflow does is, let's say I have a long message over here, so it will generate a scroll bar automatically. To test this out, let's just remove it for now, and let's give one long message over here. Let's add another message, right? And instead of I choose you EV, let me give here lorem 500. So as you can see, this message is very poorly aligned. Now if we give overflow y over here, overflow y is auto. As you can see, we have one scroll bar and we can easily scroll through the messages. So now let's keep it as it is for now. Let's also add some styles to the messages. We will remove the lorem ipsum. First let's add the styles here. So for every message I would like to add one background color of light yellow, let's say. So now everything is light yellow here, so I will add some margin of, let's say, 8 pixels. So now we can distinguish between the message and the background. And let's also add some padding of, let's say, 8 pixels. So messages look okay. Let's add border radius of let's say 15 pixels. Now this looks better. And also we want one more thing. We want the max width to be changed to, let's say, 300 pixels. So what it does is, when the message is coming from any side, the width of the message should not be equal to the width of the container. It should be a little bit less, so that it looks more like a real chat app. Let's make it 250 pixels. That would look better. Yeah. So now as you can see, this long message is properly formatted. Now after adding these styles, we have to add the styles for individual left and right messages also. So for left message, I will add text align left, and for right message I will add text align right. So now there is an issue over here, because I will also have to add margin right as auto, and here I will have to add margin left as auto. So now as you can see, our messages look much better. The left is coming from the left hand side and the right is coming from the right side. So yeah, this is more or less good right now. Now let's also add some styles for the input and the send buttons. So let's make it a little bit bigger. Message input, let's give the width as 400 pixels. No, 400 is too much. Let's give it 300 pixels, and let's give the height as, let's say, 40 pixels. 40 looks too much. Let's make it 30 pixels. And also let's give border radius of 10 pixels. Okay, 10 is fine. And let's improve the font size to 1.2 rem. This looks good. Let's remove the border radius. It doesn't look good that much. Now let's also add some styles to the send button. And what I will add here is, let's say width equals to 60 pixel and height equals to, let's give it 30 pixels. Okay, font size, let's also increase that to 1.2 rem. Fine. Now let's remove the border. It's mixing up with the background, so let's also add one background color. Let's add light blue. Now this looks good. We only need to add one border radius. Let's make it 15 pixels. This looks good now. Let's add the width and the height to a little bit more. Let's make it 40 and let's make it, let's say 80. It's too much. 70 and 35. Yeah, now this looks good. Now we also should be adding one margin top in the form because it looks attached, which doesn't look much good. Let's add this margin top as 10 pixel. Now this looks good. Let's make it 8 pixel. So our styles in the real-time chat app looks quite well. So now we will have to add the code. So we have to add one file called server.js, which is the starting point in our package JSON. So also to remind you, the dependencies that we have installed, you can see there are socket.io dependencies over here, and the dev dependencies are also listed. So we will create one server.js and we will also create one script.js. So what will happen is we will create multiple tabs of this Neo chat app, and every tab will be one client. So every client will connect with the server, and that is how they will be able to communicate. So let's start writing some code in the server.js. So first of all, I will create one socket server. I will write const.io equals to require socket.io. I will give the port 3000 and I have to enable CORS. Now what is this CORS? We will discuss in detail in a separate video. Let's keep this video simple. And now what I have to do is I have to write io.on, and this will establish one socket connection, and here I will create one instance of the socket. And here let me write socket.emit, and first of all I have to write one event name, and that is, let's say, chat message, and let's write let's fight a battle. Okay, now I also have to run this server.js, and now I will use the node-mon. I could write node server.js also, but what this node-mon does is any changes we are making in the server.js file, it will refresh automatically. So yeah, node-mon is running. Now I will have to go to index.html and I have to add some JS scripts. So first of all, I will add http localhost 3000 socket.io socket.io.js, and I will write defer so that the script loads at the end. Now what is this URL? Let me just show you briefly. So I'm pasting this URL over here. So from this web page, the program will be able to find a lot of the functions that we may be using in the real-time chat app. So we have to add this over here, and also we have to add the script file. So we will add script.js and I'll write defer. So now let me go to the client side, that is script.js, and here first of all I have to get the URL, and that is http localhost 3000. And now whatever message we want to send from our server, that is this chat message, let's fight a battle, we want to get it in the client side. So I will write socket.on, and first of all the event name is chat message, and let's say the message we got is data. I want to console log the data. So let's see we are getting this or not. So as you can see, we are able to send the data, that is this message, let's fight a battle from our server to our client. So it looks good. Now let's try to send some message from our client to our server. So I will write over here socket.emit, and I will, let's say this time, give the event as send chat message, and let's name it. So let's send this message ev use tackle. And now in the server.js I have to get this message, so I will write socket.on. So this emit message is used to send messages and this on is used to receive, and so I will receive this message, and I will write first of all the event name send chat message, and let's say the message is message. So in this place I can write anything, like this is one instance only, whatever we are getting, and let's log out the whatever we are getting. So now if we refresh, and as you can see, we can see the ev use tackle. So we have found a way to send message from our server to our client and also from our client to our server. So now we have to add this message in this message box in place of this console. So first of all I will remove this lorem ipsum div, and let's try to add this message. Let's fight this battle in our message container. So in the script.js, first of all I have to identify the DOM elements, and so first of all we have something called message container, and here we can identify it by get element by id of message container. Now we also have the message input and send button. So let's quickly identify those parts of the DOM. So we have message input and we have the send button. Now I will write one function, and this function will be named as append message. So what this append message will do is it will receive the message, let's call it data, and it will receive the direction, whether the message should be aligned to the left or to the right. So let's call it dir, and here first of all let me create one message. So in the index.html we have the div class of message and where we are giving the message. So the same kind of class we want to create in the script.js file. So I will write document create element of div, and I want to add two classes to this div. So the first class is message, and what is the second class? Can you tell? The second class is the direction. So let's say we have one message over here. So the first class that we are adding is the message, and the second class is the direction, which is either left or right. So after that, what we have to do is we have to add the text. So we will write message.text content equals to the data that we got, and lastly we have to append this thing inside the message container, and we will append this message. So now let's test it out whether it works or not. So I will simply write append message, and inside this append message let me give one data that let me be the judge, and let's put it on the left side. So as you can see, we can get this message in the message container class. So now let's move it in place of the data we are getting from the server. Let's change it with the data, and as you can see, let's fight a battle. It's coming over here. So now what we want to do is when we are clicking on the send button, we want to send whatever message we are writing over here, and to do that we will write send btn, and we will add one event listener. The event will be click, and here first of all I will do prevent default so that the page doesn't reload every time I am clicking on send. Now what I have to do is I have to emit one message, emit, and let's name this message as send chat message again. And what is the message that we want to emit? We want to emit the message that is in the message input. So I can write message input dot value. Now we can console log the message input dot value only to check whether we are sending the right value or not. And lastly, what we have to do is after we are writing this message input, we have to replace it with an empty string. So now let's see. Let me write something over here that let me be the judge. And when we click on send, we can see that this message is coming over here, and it is also coming in the server. So we are able to send this message to the server. So now there must be a way for different clients to interact using the server. So we will go back to the server.js. Here we are already emitting one chat message with the message let's fight a battle. So I will first create another tab of the new chat app, and in place of socket.emit, I'll change it to socket.broadcast.emit. So the difference between these two is that the socket.emit will send the message to all the clients, and the socket.broadcast.emit will send the message to all the clients except yourself. It's like you are sending one message to all the other users except yourself. So to test this out, let's refresh this one, and as you can see, we are not seeing the let's fight a battle over here, and somehow we are seeing two let's fight a battle here. So what I will tell you is how the socket.broadcast.emit behaves is when we will refresh this, we will not see let's fight a battle over here, but we will see the same in this tab. So that's how the socket.broadcast.emit works. But we don't want to send one predefined message from here. We want to send the message that we are sending from the client. So what we can simply do is move it to inside this send chat message, and instead of let's fight a battle, we can send the data. So now let's test it out if it works or not. So let me write let's fight a battle again, and we want to see the same in the other tab. So as you can see, we are seeing this over here, but we also want to see the same message in the right side over here. So to do that, in the script.js file, when we are sending our message, we also want that message to be appended in the right side of the chat application. So what we can simply do is we will do append message, and the first argument will be our message input.value, and the second argument will be the direction, and in this case this is the right side. So now let's write Bulbasaur use vine whip. Let's see if it works or not. So as you can see, our Bulbasaur use vine whip, this message is being displayed on the right side, and in the other client this is being displayed in the left side, like the other user is telling it. So now we can see that we are able to send messages from client 1 to client 2, and now we can also open another tab, and the three of these lines can talk with each other. So if I write, let's say anything, let's say let me be the judge, and when we press enter, we can see that this message is being displayed in the right side, and in the other two tabs the same message will be on the left side. So now our basic chat application is ready with this. So now we can do few more modifications. We can add the users, disconnect the users, and give some appropriate messages, and that's how we can make it better. So now let's work on that. So let's start by creating some users. I can create a user like this. Let username equals to prompt, and I can write over here enter your name, and whatever name I am entering over here, that will be saved as a username. So let's console log username, and it is asking for a name. Let me write Ash, and as you can see, the Ash is being populated over here. But I don't like this process because it's slow, especially when we are testing. So I will create a random array of Pokemon trainers, and I will pick the names randomly. So let's give some names. Let's start from generation 1, Ash, Gary, and in generation 2 we have Gold, and we have Silver, and let's say Brendan. Now I will pick one of these Pokemon trainers randomly. So let's write let username equals to Pokemon trainers, and inside I will give the index in between 1 to 5 on a random basis. So I will write math.floor, which will convert by random number into a floor, and inside I will write math.random, which will generate a random number in between 0 and 1, and for 0 to 5 I will multiply it by 5. Or I can also simply write Pokemon trainers.length in case I change the length later. And now if I append the same message, I will write you joined the chat on the let's say right hand side, and let's also log out these names, username. So as you can see, you joined the chat. In every tab I have you joined the chat, and let's as you can see, the name over here is Silver, and here we can see what is the name. Here it is Gary, and there will be some other name over there. So now I have to write, when I'm writing you joined the chat in this tab, it must write that Gary joined the chat. And to do that, first of all I have to send these usernames to the server. So I will write socket.emit, let's name the event as new user, and I will send the username. Now let's also comment this socket.emit EVUs tackle this line, because this will get in the way. So now I will go to the server.js, and I have to receive the new user event. So I can write socket.on, and here the event is new user, and I will get the username. I can also name it user. And here what I have to do is I can first of all log the user to see that whether we are getting the correct data or not. And as you can see, Silver and Gary, that means we can send our data from our client to our server. So now when we are getting the username, now let's broadcast the same info so that the other clients also get this. So socket.broadcast.emit, and let's name another event user connected, and let's send the user. So now we have to receive the same event in the client once again. So I will simply write socket.on, and the event is user connected, and let's we are getting the user. And now can you guess what we will do here? We will append this message to the left side. So I will write user joined the chat, and I want the message to be in the left side. So now let's refresh and see. As you can see, Gold joined the chat, Silver joined. So now this is coming in doubles. Now we will see why this issue comes later. But as you can see, what we want is that that is fixed. That is, we want the users that are joining to be displayed on the left hand side, and when I'm joining, it should be displayed on the right hand side. So this is happening. Now we want the same thing to be done when a user disconnects. And to do that, first of all, in the server.js, I have to create an array of users. Let's keep it an empty array for now. And also for now, let's just comment out this user and data, because I want to show you when we are logging this socket what we are getting. So as you can see, we are getting some big object over here. Now every socket has one ID, and now when we are logging this out, as you can see, there are some IDs. Now we have 3 clients, so we are getting 3 IDs. So what we want to do is, when we are joining a new user, I want that in the users array, I want to create a key of the socket ID, and there I want to assign the value of the user. Now why I want to do that? Because when I want to delete users, I want to delete it by this ID. So I will write socket.on, and this time I will use one built-in method. So socket.io has both custom and built-in methods, and this disconnect method is used to disconnect users. So I will write socket.broadcast.emit, and I have to now write one custom method, and let's name it user disconnected. So what do I want to send? So when I want to disconnect from this chat application, I can simply close my current tab. So I am closing my tab, so I am basically passing my username, and that is, we can simply get from users, and the key is socket.id, which is my username. So I will simply delete this username from the users array. So I can write users socket.id, and now the same thing I have to receive in our client. So I will simply write socket.on, and the user and the event name is user disconnected. It is disconnected, and I will get the user, like whatever I'm getting, that is the user, and I can simply append message, and I will write that user left the chat, and I want to put it on the left hand side. So now let's open another tab. So I still have it is coming 2 names. We'll check that out soon. And lastly, we have Ash joined the chat, and now if I close that tab, what I can see over here is Ash left the chat. So now I have found the reason why we are getting 2 Ash joined the chat and Brendan joined the chat. That is because we are receiving the user connected event twice. So I can remove one of it. And now when everything is refreshed, I can see that Silver joined the chat comes once, and Ash and Silver joined the chat comes once. So our real-time chat app is almost ready. Now a few minor additional changes I want to do before closing the video, and that is when we are sending one message from the server, I also want to send the username along with it. So in the chat message, I can, instead of passing the data directly, I can pass one JSON object, and here I can name user, and I will pass the user with the current socket ID, and the second parameter that I will pass is the data. Let's remove this data. The reason I want to do this is because when we are passing the chat message and we are receiving in the script, instead of outputting the message directly, I want to output the username and then the message. So now in the data, I'm getting one JSON object, this object, and I want to write data.user plus colon space and then data.data, which is the message. So now let's refresh all the tabs once, and now let's write Pikachu use Thunderbolt. And now in the other tab, what I can see is Gary is saying Pikachu use Thunderbolt. So this is how I want the messages to come. So now in this tab, instead of writing Pikachu use Thunderbolt, it's better to write it like this. So when we are passing our message, and that is in the send button, I will pass something like this, you, and then I will pass the same thing. So now let's refresh once again all the tabs, and now when I'm writing, let's say something EV use tackle, what happens? In the other tab, I can see Brendan is saying EV use tackle, and in this tab I am saying EV use tackle. So yeah, our real-time chat app is ready like this. I will also leave the GitHub repo link of this project in the description below, as I always do. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.